YouTube is a place that most associate with nothing too serious. It's a place people go after a long day of work to unwind and watch interesting content from a variety of their favorite content creators. Though you should all keep in mind, YouTube is 16 years old as of now, which is probably older than some of you watching this right now. And with that, there's been a lot of happenings on this website that contradict its usual non-serious tone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 horrific tragedies that have occurred to various YouTubers throughout the years. I will be monetizing this video simply to get paid for the work I put into creating it, though if you have an issue with that, I have included a fundraiser on this video that will surely raise far more money than I earn from this video. Without further ado, let's get on to the list. Number 5. JewWario. JewWario was a YouTuber who joined the site around 13 years ago on December 28, 2006. JewWario's channel was heavily dedicated towards discussing ways to play rare import games from Japan that not many Americans would know much about. His channel was really niche for quite a while until he joined the content creation collective known as Channel Awesome a bit later. For many years, JewWario was a humble but respected content creator who frequently participated in Channel Awesome films and sketches, which were arguably horrible, but that's not the point. Overall, JewWario was a welcome addition to the YouTube gaming community, and he was even friends with the likes of JonTron. Though JewWario's channel was small, he had a strong cult following that kept him afloat for many years. However, things started to really go downhill for JewWario fairly rapidly, starting in about 2013. Allegedly, JewWario was suffering from severe depression, as well as horrible financial troubles that were hurting him and his family. And on January 23rd, 2014, JewWario locked himself inside his family bathroom, put a shotgun in his mouth, and blew his brains out, with his family being only feet away. Many mourned JewWario for about 4 years, until it was revealed in a major controversy in 2018 that JewWario had actually raped an unconscious girl in a hotel room during a meet and greet. Said girl had actually been begging JewWario to leave her alone for hours before she had been brutally raped by him. Since the story had a lot of legitimacy to it and had been backed up by various other people who knew the victim closely, it had become widely publicly accepted that JewWario was not the nice, innocent guy he portrayed on YouTube, and that he was actually a frequent cheater, groomer, and rapist. Since these statements have come out, JewWario's suicide only makes more and more sense. Perhaps it wasn't financial depression that pushed him over the edge, but instead it was actually a guilty conscience. Regardless, the legacy surrounding JewWario is extremely disturbing and shows just how little you know about your favorite YouTuber. Number 4. Christina Grimmie. Christina Grimmie's story is one that still disturbs me 5 years later. If you don't know who Christina Grimmie is, essentially, she's a YouTuber who started her career around 11 years ago. She started off singing covers as a child of various pop songs that everyone liked. Though, because of her good looks, wide vocal range, and the timing of which she started her channel, within only a year or two, she was already at 500,000 subscribers, and was a worldwide YouTube star. Keep in mind, she was only like 13 by the time she was becoming a superstar, which is pretty incredible to think about. In 2016, Christina Grimmie was at the peak of her career. She had millions of subscribers, she had sung on various popular television shows, and was touring around the world constantly. However, on June 10th, 2016, Christina's career and life would all come crumbling down in an instant. Before I tell you why, let me introduce you all to Kevin James Loibl, the eventual murderer of Christina Grimmie. This dude was a grade A creep in every way, shape, and form. Essentially, he was a nearly 30-year-old man who was obsessed with Grimmie and her work to the point of it being psychotic. Reportedly, Kevin would frequently masturbate almost every day to the thought of Grimmie and went as far as to get various cosmetic surgeries in an attempt to impress Grimmie through social media. When none of these things worked, Kevin decided that if he couldn't have Grimmie, then nobody could. On June 10th, 2016, Christina was performing a show at a venue. There are various pictures of Kevin at this concert watching Christina from a distance. After the show, Christina went to do a meet and greet, and eventually, when Kevin was nearby, Christina opened out her arms to give him a hug. Though when she did so, Kevin pulled out a gun and shot her, which killed her instantly. He was tackled by Christina's brother, though this was of no use as Kevin turned the gun on himself and blew his brains out on the spot. Overall, if there's any lesson that can be learned from this incident, it's that if you're a popular YouTuber, you need to protect yourself. If you find yourself garnering a large following anywhere, don't reveal your real name, use an alias, don't reveal where you live or what city you live in, and most importantly, if you do any kind of live event, make sure you have strong security by your side and maybe even consider arming yourself. Number 3. Talia Joy. So considering my audience is comprised of a bunch of old dudes, I doubt many of you know who this is, though I will explain. Talia Joy was a beauty guru YouTuber for little girls back in the early 2010s who achieved massive stardom for her unique, down-to-earth makeup tutorials. Overall, Talia was a very sweet girl who loved animals and helping people feel more confident about themselves using makeup. One of my favorite things about Talia personally was that she was an avid supporter of ending animal cruelty in the beauty industry and frequently made tutorials on various makeup brands that were cruelty-free. Talia was very mature for her age, probably due to the fact that she actually had neuroblastoma, an extremely intense and painful cancer that is found in a gland in the kidneys. She also later developed severe leukemia. Much of Talia's YouTube brand was surrounded around her struggle with childhood cancer, something that not a lot of people understand or can really relate to. Unfortunately, on July 16, 2013, Talia died as a result of her cancer. I've actually seen photos of her on her deathbed, and it's really sad. You can clearly see just how intensely the cancer had eaten away at her small child body, which is something nobody should ever have to see or experience. Talia Joy will be missed. Number 2. Yoda Slayer. Back in 2012, Yoda Slayer was among one of the biggest gaming channels on YouTube. He was a family man in his late 20s to early 30s who had a loving wife and kids and a booming YouTube channel where he'd frequently stream himself playing Borderlands 2 and Black Ops 2, which were some of the biggest games of the early 2010s. Yoda Slayer particularly was an absolute fanatic about Borderlands 2, as he would stream it for hours upon hours nearly every day, and he was actually really good at the game. His passion for the game almost certainly made Borderlands 2 a more relevant topic back in 2012, and his videos spawned a huge community surrounding his gameplays. Though, on October 23, 2013, Yoda Slayer was announced publicly to be deceased. Essentially, Yoda Slayer, known in real life as Brian Joseph Rickard, made a horrible drunken decision one night that would cause years of pain. Essentially, on Wednesday night of October 23rd, Mr. Rickard and 2 other individuals attempted to outrun an oncoming train so they wouldn't have to wait for it to cross. Unfortunately, they were immediately struck by the train, and all 3 people inside of the vehicle were brutally killed by the intensity of this accident. Even sadder is that one of the occupants of the vehicle was only 20 years old. The lesson here is to never take anything for granted, and don't try anything stupid when behind an automobile. It never pays. Yoda Slayer and his friends will be missed. Number 1. Dylan the Hacker. So you may not know exactly who this is, and if you do know who this is or have seen him before, you might be surprised to hear that he's actually dead and has been dead for nearly 2 years now. Dylan the Hacker was a very controversial YouTuber who for many years made a name for himself through his outlandish troll videos, almost always aimed at triggering stupid children who were die-hard fans of PewDiePie and Markiplier. Originally, he made a name for himself through videos jokingly stating that he was going to hack Reddit and 4chan, and considering the demographics of those websites are utterly idiotic, they believed he was being serious. And for many years, Dylan was genuinely seen as a creepy, malicious, hateful creator, when in reality he was actually a pretty genius satirist who almost always got the best of his audience. Though, while many laughed at his expense, very few knew about the deep depression that actually plagued him inside. On July 28, 2019, Dylan, known in real life as Griffin Alexander Klaus, committed suicide allegedly in his dorm room. This death personally hits me the hardest, as I was a genuine fan of Dylan's antics, and it's really disturbing to know that a silly 20-year-old YouTuber would later go on to end his own life while alone in his room. I guess the best moral you can take from this is never assume that you know what someone is feeling on the inside, because chances are your assumptions are way off base. Anyway, if you liked this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next list.